Hey, everybody, it's your big homie Snrrlax. I'm doing something. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. Me and my good friend BoomerPeat, the white t-shirt guy, just watched Maniac, the 1980 film. Not to be confused with the 2012 film. 2012, starring Elijah Wood, but that is what this film is, what the 2012 film is based on. Yeah, it was an interesting film. It's the first time I've seen it. I should have seen it a lot longer ago. Yeah. This is my good buddy BoomerPeat, the white t-shirt guy,
That's me.
because he always wears a white t-shirt.
So the movie's
Including
pretty
right
good, though.
Yeah, it was.
For
Yeah,
what it was?
Yeah, it was.
I'm not going to dig into just critiquing it right off the bat. So I want to give it its applause for being so iconoclast for its time.
Yeah, it for being 1980, so like this was before 80s slasher films really took off, right? So like, when did the first Jason film come out? And I think Michael Myers came out before the Michael Myers series, Halloween series started before the Friday the 13th series. But Friday the 13th was really the one that pushed that out and like made it as popular as it became. Then it was, of course, copying Halloween, but to a certain extent, I don't think it was completely copying, and I think there was just the general idea of being a slasher film is what it was kind of going after. But
So was this like a genre creating kind of movie? Like, was it the first of its kind, or was it just the
I think it
glorious?
definitely was, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. It's definitely up there. It's up there with Halloween. Let me see when the first Halloween was made. Halloween. 1978, so 2 years before this was made.
Okay.
So it's right at the beginning of the whole slasher thing starting up.
But they put this in a real life setting instead of
Yeah,
in
instead
a controlled.
instead of something that's just
And of course, it wasn't fictitious as the
yeah, like
stuff kinda comes
zombie
across.
kid coming out, or like dude being controlled by a cult to kill his whole family.
right.
So it's just, I think, especially for its time, there's a certain social aspect to it of realism, like with the mental illness thing, which is still something that is a big social issue today. And the most recent film that I think touched on that is Joker. Have you seen Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's.
I thought it was a good depiction because
Yeah.
there's so many things that people want to relate to in it. Of
Yeah.
course, it's on a very extreme scale, so you can
Yeah.
whole,
I don't
wholly
think too many
agree
people
with it.
want
but-
to go randomly shoot some guy in the head with a shotgun.
Right, but they love
So-
seeing the standoff. They love seeing
Yeah.
like somebody stand up for the little man, even though that was not the right way to go about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's the film was a little confusing to me through times because I didn't know exactly where it was going.
For Maniac,
Yes.
gotcha.
So I got Joker.
Sure,
I got
sure.
exactly where that was going. There wasn't much of a surprise in Joker, but seeing it play out was definitely fun, and kind of terrifying. I do want to say real quick that I don't believe anyone with mental illnesses like this are necessarily violent, but it's something that can happen if it doesn't get talked about, and if it's not addressed, then anyone can become violent no matter what mental illness they have. These guys both specifically, I think, have
Well, there was a lot of
schizophrenia, where they see things that aren't happening.
Yeah, and they also had a background of a lot of physical abuse that led to that, and which kind of unfolds throughout the movie. You don't get to see everything right at the start, and if you're not paying attention, you'll definitely miss some stuff.
Yeah, like when the guy's talking to himself and he's like sitting there with the cigarette, and he's got the kind of boy figure of himself, and he's like putting the cigarette out on him.
I told you to be quiet. If you don't be quiet,
you have to be quiet when you're locked in the closet.
Yeah. And that's usually the frame of mind they use for the crazy person, with some kind of psychological illness.
Yeah.
Is, you know, that there was some form of abuse that caused that chaotic action whenever they got older.
Exactly.
But I like how they unfolded it. They don't tell you everything at the beginning. So I was kind of wondering too. I'm like, what's happening right now? You know, why? What's the motive? Or, you know, just kind of losing bits and pieces. And you kind of see it starting to come together as it unfolds the movie. And that was nice because for that time, I bet that was pretty, you know, that was a pretty good move. That was good groundbreaking.
So some of the stuff that I read about this was it got banned from being shown in some places because they didn't. The same reason that there was controversy over the Joker, where people were pissed off that it kind of makes you feel sympathy for someone that's going around killing people.
Yeah, like, and I don't think that was. I think it's to show the real aspect of it. Sorry, give me just a second here.
Like, good. So that was a controversy with Joker, and I hate kind of keep going back to Joker because they are two completely different films, but some of the aspects kind of cross over with them, with the mental illness and the mother issues, which kind of play into both of them. Other than that, they are very different films. Where the fuck was I going with that? But shit.
I can jump in if you want. I can. My brain's going in all kinds of rabbit holes.
I completely forgot what I just said because
well, you were talking about how they were kind of, you keep referencing the movie and they're very like, you know, each other, and I think the reason they're so much like each other is because it's a realistic environment. It is giving the perspective of the mentally ill person, and you're seeing everything that they're going through from their angle as they, you know.
Yeah, and that wasn't that.
You don't get all the extra. You don't get any extra perspectives.
Yeah, and that like, so it. A couple of places in America banned the film from being shown. Like, it didn't get a wide release anyways, but a lot of the places that they wanted to banned it from their theaters because of the premise of it showing someone in a light to where you are sympathizing for someone going around doing these heinous murders, and they didn't want to show anything in that light.
They'd rather just call him crazy and not have a real reason behind it.
Yeah, which is very different from the slasher films of that era because I can't remember another one.
All the other ones, they just make them crazy. You know, they make them as crazy as they can. That's the appeal. Versus this one, it does. You see why things are the way they are. And I mean, I guess I could understand that, but it's just fear and people not having the guts to show that stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because people don't want to address real life issues when they go to see a movie.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, if there is somebody who's on the edge of crazy, you know, you should know that they're people too, and you might be able to help them out by knowing that they're crazy is because of some
I think it's like plausible deniability. Kind of the same same thought process that gives you plausible deniability. Yeah. Well, who knew he was crazy when he went inside the school and killed 15 people, right?
That's exactly it, yeah.
So it's when,
and I like that they're uncovering the mental illness stuff, you know, like in movies, and that must have been really big then for its time if it was the only one like that, because. So
I think the only other movie that I can think of that really tried to deal with mental illness in any form was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So, and like other than that, I don't think of any film. I can't think of any film that tried to take a remotely realistic approach to mental illness back in those times. So, it's
for sure.
Granted, I haven't seen every film, but it is something that I feel like something like that would stick out. So that stuff always kind of hits me at a certain point because I do suffer from mental illness as well. I mean, I think a lot of people do, and it goes undiagnosed.
Yeah.
But so like a movie like that and a movie like Joker are actually terrifying to me because I have schizophreniform, which is like schizophrenia light. Mm-hmm. So like I hear random sound. It's not like what it's depicted there. There are people that see stuff like that. I don't see anything. I have before, but it's probably been about 10 years. So it's,
but for the most part, it's just throwing you off and stuff.
It's just it's like noises. Like sometimes, like I'll hear a buzzer that's not there. Like I'll hear wind when I'm like in the bathroom. You know, weird shit.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that, you know, it's some like my form of it is very different than what is depicted. What's depicted is a very, very extreme version of it. So it. So those movies do tend to stick with me a little bit better. It makes more sense that first kill, not the first kill, because the first kill was on the beach, but the kill where the first kill after that, where he went and found the hooker, and he was choking her, and like the face was changing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was changing between the one woman. Like that's obviously his mom.
Right.
Right. So that's. So yeah, the way that they really brought that out was it. I mean, it takes the whole damn movie to get to it. You really don't get to it until. I don't think you get the full picture of it until like the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So, and I think that probably lends to the film being
for sure
more suspenseful.
Mm-hmm.
So, and being a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Like I liked how they made the killings sporadic. It wasn't something like where it was within just a couple of days like everything crazy happened. There were breakdowns. There was kind of composure. And then breakdowns, again, which I think is realistic to mental illness because you have good days and you have bad days, where the guy was able to keep it together for so long and then click click click. Given he always had his crazy motive, but you see it, things you see him bouncing back and forth between his psyche.
Especially
issues.
with he goes on a date. That time and like hangs out with the chick.
Yeah, that was really calm and collected.
And he's almost charismatic in a sense.
Yeah.
When he's sitting there having dinner with the chick,
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think that goes a long way in showing just how different someone can be with that kind of stuff. Like how it may not actually be a representative of who they are personally, but when something negative comes up, that's how it happens to play out with some.
Yeah, and in his, it was really passionate, odd, kind of things going on with the hooker. Like, it was like he was kind of starting to feel very deeply, and you can see him kind of shelter himself.
Yeah.
And that's where things started, turning, of course.
Yeah.
But
and it makes so you haven't seen the remake. I saw the remake when it first came out because I like Elijah Wood as an actor. Except for what was that fucking dolphin movie, Flipper? I didn't like that. They made Flipper when I was
Disney
a kid.
movie.
Like, I didn't like that, but I think everything else Elijah Wood has done is pretty cool. So I appreciate him as an actor. And then I saw Maniac, and that was his performance in the remake was pretty good, but it delves a lot deeper into the mother stuff. So the character, it shows like the character being locked in the closet while his mom is being like doing hooker stuff in the room, and he's like sitting there watching stuff.
That makes sense. It kind of gives more backstory to what we watch.
It does, and I definitely think we got to watch that. But because it is very different than the new one or than the old one. So it gives you a reason for the mannequins in the new one as well.
Okay. Well, I knew for a fact it wasn't going to be exactly the same because they can't keep all that 80s-ness there. But like that's good. It sounds like they kind of made them work together a little bit.
And it's also first-person view for most of the film.
Oh yeah.
Until the very end. So like the ending's fairly similar.
Which the ending was very interesting.
It is. It's kind of ambiguous a little bit. Like you don't know exactly what's going on.
Of course, it's a horror movie. But, they want to end it with some kind of suspense. Like you leave in suspense. But yeah, the like you're really thrown off whenever everything starts happening at the end of Maniac in the 1980s film.
Yeah, like it almost the ending almost harkens back to like Night of the Living Dead almost.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it feels like, just a gorier,
just the insanity
version.
Yeah,
and just that's what it starts to feel like, but then it cuts to the reality of it.
And I love that they saved like a crazy scene to the end because you don't get the what's going on in his head ever. Yeah. All you hear is his commentary on it. You don't see it until the very end, and things, you see his perspective of the way things are crazy and like all, you're like, oh God, like dude probably sees things like this all the time, at least to some extent. And then, of course we know how it ends. We don't have to give that away, but
I think it all like, there's a very specific point where that all changed, which is when he's chasing the chick through the cemetery and then she gives him that whack with the shovel. That's like everything after that until like the very last minute of the movie. That entire time frame is like I feel like is what he sees.
Yeah.
Like because after he got that whack, there's just this fog everywhere. Right. Which
okay.
I think
Yeah.
ambience,
Good call. Yeah. I didn't even really. I was just caught in the cinema of it, I guess.
Yeah. Like that was something that I noticed was like there was just this giant fog that came in right after that wasn't there. And it was there all the way up until he got back to his apartment. Like, it was in the alleyway when he was going in. It was during all of his running and everything. That's interesting.
Now I feel bad that I didn't pay all that attention to it.
Yeah, so it's like his judgment is completely clouded, and all he can focus on is the mental illusions that are the way his brain is processing stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even catch that. I mean, so can we talk about some of the stuff that's just, a little more proofed these days when it comes to the gosh, what's the right word? Just even the theatrics, the realism. Yeah. Like, so, the first three people, I mean, we're talking about the movie. I'm just going to throw everything out there. So the first three people,
kills, like first three kills, the boyfriend, or
including the boyfriend.
Okay. So like the two people on the beach and then the first hooker.
Yes. Let me see. How did yes. So the first three kills. The first three kills were of the throat, right?
Yeah.
Having to do with the throat. Yet, with a windpipe closed off, people could still scream at the top of their lungs. And then, they had to get the extreme, screams in there everywhere. Yeah. And, nowadays, if somebody's being choked, you hear gurgling noises and they can't, make any sounds so much. And, these ones, they could just probably throw out a full sentence, stop, please stop doing this. And it's like, please stop doing this. And it's like,
it's definitely got that late 70s, early 80s feel to it.
I mean, and maybe if they'd made gurgling noises and all that stuff, it would have been too gruesome or something, but the first three kills where everybody could just talk like normal, like everything was fine,
was
basically.
B-movie cheese at its finest.
And that's fine. And hey, it was in the 80s.
It is a B movie.
Yes. And
it
was in the 80s before, people, it was like the girl being choked and she's just, stop, not clawing at him or doing anything like that naturally self-defense wise. When you're on your last 10 seconds of life, you're probably going to be punching, scraping and stuff. But, I don't want to throw out too many critiques because there's always going to be some, but lots of pauses, big moments where there's not too much happening, like a person standing in silence for 30 seconds before walking to the bus or something. You're like people normally go. They have somewhere to go, boom, 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 zipping from place to place. I'm not cutting it down, like I said. Just giving it the critiques it deserves for where we're at now.
Yeah, I mean, horror movies have absolutely grown from then. I mean, there's so many good ones nowadays that have really fixed those tropes. It's almost like people that made these films never saw someone get choked or something.
Well, maybe they didn't have the research that we have. We have the internet and we have the dark web and all that stuff. If we really want to dig in there, but
you don't even need the dark web for that shit.
It's true. But
just turn on the news.
Goodness. They pretty much show stuff on the news these days. So just so you know, this is a gruesome scene. Man being shot. That was gruesome.
That's about all it is.
But
that's all they give you. That's what they. So a friend of mine died from a gunshot wound to the stomach. He got shot with a shotgun. They said he was trying to rob the store. I personally don't believe it. This is in 2004. But they showed him this is like a 6-minute video of him bleeding out with his stuff coming out.
Dang.
On the sidewalk. And they showed the security video, the whole thing
on
the news.
On the news.
And I'm like, I hate you, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I bet.
Dude, I've grown up with that kid. He was a good kid.
Yeah, unless they're showing the stuff in order to bring something to justice, they shouldn't be showing it.
No,
and I mean they can state it, they can give a little bit of it, but there's no reason to show it if the scene if everything's done there, it's done, just state it as it is. You don't have to show.
There was a movie about that. There was a movie about that not too long ago. I think it's probably about 12 years ago. Not too long ago, 12 years ago. I I forget what it's called, but there was this kid that his dad like jumped off a bridge or something, and it was reported on the news, and like the kid was pissed off because no one like tried to stop his dad. They just watched, right? And then they broadcast it live for and get advertising dollars for it. So he goes up, he makes a website and has all these people, like he abducts these people and kills them live on the website. The more viewers that it gets, the more stuff starts happening to the people until they die.
Interesting.
So like, I don't think anyone's gonna do that.
No. Well, have you seen
the dark web?
Have you? Yeah, I was gonna say, have you seen? Oh gosh, we're getting off subject here, but the Netflix series Don't Fuck with Cats.
Yes, fuck that guy.
Right. So he built his following in order that it would get him known and having fun with it along the way and all that.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Oh yeah, big time. Well, he did it for him. He said he wanted to play up his two favorite movies, which was Catch Me If You Can and Psycho. That he thought that was going to be the best way to, live life.
Like, maybe I'm just desensitized movies. To where I don't give a shit about most humans, but like it's the cat thing.
Sure, you don't fuck with cats.
Yeah. That's why it's
everybody knows that.
Like, I don't even like cats that much, but I'm like, I don't
innocent creatures.
Yeah.
I recently saw, Facebook of all things, the woman who stomped some kittens or whatever, and then like 5 dudes busted into her house and beat the crap out of her, and they videotaped it and posted it. Yeah. And I didn't hear anybody speaking in defense of that woman. Because there's a video of her stomping kittens in the neck, and it takes them a long time to die.
Yeah.
So, you see stuff like that, and it is really hard to have sympathy for that when you see it. I have no idea what the fuck she went through. I don't know if she was raped as a kid or if, just crazy, whatever, beat to hell. I have no idea what it was. But it sucks when you see that because you don't care what happens to them at that point.
Yeah.
And
so to bring that back around to what we're talking about, I wonder what those people's lives, what the trauma was in those people's lives to bring them to that, bring them to a point where they could do that. And
sadly, societally, what would fix it?
Yeah,
what would fix it to make them redeemable to society? Because that's a hard case. And you want to have sympathy, for them in some way, but it's also just a little bit too extreme to just be let go.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's like doing that to a baby or a kid,
Right.
Like, if it's an adult, adults have more ways to fend you off. So, it's normally whenever I hear somebody got killed, I'm like, well, what'd they do to them? I want the whole story on something, which kind of sounds harsh. I get it. But there's always more than one side to a story, and I always like hearing both sides of something. I always like hearing both sides of an argument, both sides of a story. Getting the whole picture and the whole context of something is important to me. It's given the egregiousness of it being something defensive, what the hell has a baby kitten done to you?
Sure.
To put you to that point,
well,
right?
there's crazy on all levels, and some of it's really, identifiable, and some of it's not. Like the guy who was going around killing people with a hammer because they looked like his father.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do not.
So he was videotaping himself running around with a hammer, and he would just go up and crack somebody in the head with him videotaping, and he would crack him in the head with a hammer if they looked like his dad, if they had the same profile. And so, he posted about 3 videos before he was caught, but all you see is a video of somebody walking up behind somebody and hits him as hard as he can with a hammer. You just you hear the crack, you see the blip of the hammer just on the screen, and then dude falls to the ground, and guy just keeps walking, and all 3 of the people that he hit died. And that was his intent because they looked like his father or his father-in-law or something along those lines, who he hated, who abused him, and he just wanted to pay back something similar, just like this guy who's killing, just like in Maniac. He's killing his mother over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy did. This guy with a hammer just went around and just cracking guys in the head, random people who he had never even seen before, just walking down the street. He's got a hammer on him. There's a guy who looks like my dad. Pop! Just videos it, cracks him, keeps on walking. It's nuts, man. So yeah, those things aren't redeemable back to society, you know, and it sucks, but
yeah, it is hard. I think framing it in context is still hard to do, like especially with the guy you were just talking about. I think there's two names that pulled up: Brian Blackwell and Tyler Hadley. So there's two names that pulled up that I could find on that. Tyler Hadley, teen killer, murdered parents with hammer. I don't think that's it.
Nope.
Man who killed parents and hammer.
He wasn't killing parents. He was killing random people with a hammer, and he was videotaping him and posting it.
Do you remember where it was?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I want to say somewhere like Atlanta or something, but that doesn't sound right. I'm going to grab another beer.
Man captures his own murder and graphic. All right, Maury Travis, American murder and suspected serial killer. Well, I can't find the name of him, but it's that is definitely like I think the question that people hate to ask about that is what would fix that before it happened. Because
sure.
like,
and that's what you hope to get from watching movies like this, is that some people have some enough empathy to really pry into those people you see psychologically suffering, so that they don't get to that point. That's what you hope to get. Yeah. But when things have gone that far, you know,
it's pretty hard to tell. I mean, there's no way to tell before it happens, completely. At the same time, it's like I kind of hate giving up on people. Like, that's just my thing. I kind of hate giving up on
another
people.
Human being and somebody who's suffering.
Yeah, right? So it's like, I mean, we can always do more, but it's like getting society to agree to that, because that seems to be, again, goes back to the whole plausible deniability thing. Like, no one wants to say, well, you know, he did some crazy shit and we could have said something about it, but, you know, we never did. We just figured he was a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You know? So that's, dude, you know the guy that shook his kid to death? Oh, God, what's his name? Let me Google it.
Man,
I used to work with this guy.
I've heard stories. Used to work with him. Well, I was going to say, I've heard stories like from my youth. Even I remember whenever I was I was like 10 or something, maybe even younger. I was in a church, and there was one kid who was in a wheelchair, and he obviously had some kind of disability. And I remember our pastor or somebody telling us, "Yeah, do you know what happened to that boy? Well, when he was a baby, his dad shook him, and that's why he is this way." And his dad was the one pushing him around in the wheelchair in the church, which I thought was kind of screwed up to out the dad, you know, when he's taking care of his son. And yes, it was screwed up, but why did somebody tell me that? I think they were venting their frustrations about it in telling me, because I was an innocent little kid. I didn't need to know that boy in the wheelchair was just as normal to me as anybody else. I didn't really even see that big of an issue. You know, I didn't ask questions about it, but somebody told me, "Oh, just so you know, that little boy was shaken by the man who's pushing him around right now." Why would somebody tell me that? But that man tried to get in good graces in some way and took care of his mentally disabled son for the rest of his life. Yeah. But yeah, no, I know that has to happen on more occasions than anybody admits for those people who cannot handle having a kid and have mental, you know, psychological disorders.
Episode and they like shake the kid to the point of where they're disabled the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So this is Joseph Daniels. I'll pop a thing up on the screen whenever.
I went too far. Dear God.
So this is second beer, everybody. So this is Joseph Daniels. Me and your wife used to work with him.
Wow.
Like at Ibex.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Dang.
Like he killed his kid.
Dang.
Like he was fucking weird though.
There was one guy there who there was another guy who got arrested at Ibex who I'm not going to remember his name. It's not worth mentioning. Anyway, he was like selling mercury bullets and weird crap. I don't know where this guy came from and stuff, but like he had some weird stuff he was peddling.
I think that might be doing that.
Yeah, and it wasn't but like 3 months, and he was in jail from the moment that he was trying to pitch me, all kinds of illegal things.
The short guy?
Yeah.
Short guy with kind of big ears? Not
maybe,
big,
maybe.
but like,
maybe.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't have to speak any names.
Yeah. No, yeah, he probably went to jail for a lot more than that. We ended up, while he was still working there, he got arrested for like beating up a hooker.
Yeah, he had a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I heard about.
He also, he had also apparently been dishonorably discharged from the military.
Yep, same guy.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, same guy. So, anyways, Joseph Daniels killed his kid. I mean, I don't think the trial's up, so I mean, it's dependent on the trial. But I was nice to him because I'm fucking weird, and I can understand like, going through some shit. But the guy was like, even for me being weird, and I've hung out with some weird fucking people, which are just weird to be weird. That he was definitely top of the mark.
Yeah, he was off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way
like,
off.
if the news ever was like, you used to work with him, what do you think? I'd be like, he was fucking weird. I would not put this past him.
Right.
Like, honestly, like, he had problems that probably needed to be addressed before he, shot a load in some chick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I ain't saying that about him because he was nothing but nice to me. But at the same time, it's like I would figure there's people that know me to a certain extent that would, like, if I went ape shit and killed a bunch of people, they'd be like, yeah, I could see that. Like, yeah, Pat was probably about 2 hairs away from pulling the trigger.
Yeah. No, I think everybody has a tell of some sort that if something happened, people wouldn't really think it was so audacious because we're all a little bit crazy, right? We've all got like a little bit of a chip on our shoulder or something, that through our mannerisms and everything that we do and say and the way we act, it tells, so yeah, I mean, I think we're all we're also in the know whenever something like that happens. It's like we saw it coming, like, and you didn't see it coming until it actually happened. So that's the thing people need to think about is that you always like, oh yeah, I could have saw that coming, and it's like,
yeah, but you didn't.
Yeah, you didn't. You really didn't.
I don't think people that do this stuff most of the time see it coming either.
Right.
Though. So
sure.
It's like,
no, of course they don't.
I don't think anyone just like. I think if someone sits there day in, day out and they think about killing one person like premeditated like that, I think somebody knows well before it's going to happen. Somebody else knows that for sure. He's talked about it a lot. He's, talked about going and killing his ex-wife, whatever the case may be. Like, I don't think anyone specifically does this kind of stuff just out of thinking about it. Like, the heinous kind of stuff that we're talking about. Like, I don't think anyone just sits there and thinks about it and then talks to other people about it.
Right.
But, like, a lot of the stuff that you can prevent is the stuff that people talk about and that doesn't get done. Yeah. So it's...
it generally boils down to human kindness, right? If everybody, even if that person has had the most fucked up life, whatever it is, from here on out, if everybody they ran into was kind to them and accepted them just as they are,
they'd probably be a lot better
they
off.
They would probably be okay. They'd probably think they stepped into a new world, and they'd be better off because they'd realize that maybe what happened in the past is in the past and this is a better moment. Yeah. But people don't think of making a better moment. They think of how things have played out in the past. If you've had a really fucked up past for a really long time, that is the groundwork for how you see the world. Yeah. So you immediately expect the worst out of people.
Definitely. I kind of have a little bit of that. Like, I'm a little bit cynical, but
I'm a huge cynic.
I mean, we've talked.
Yeah, and like, and it boils down to all kinds of factors. Like, whenever your family wasn't your only influence and you had friends, what were those friends like? My friends were funny and smart and stuff, but they weren't always nice to me. Well, then that made me assume that the general public was not going to be nice to me when I became an adult, or that in high school, if I wasn't nice, people weren't nice to me. Those were my developing years to becoming an adult. So by the time I became an adult. Then I walked out into the world assuming it was like high school. You know,
become pleasantly surprised.
Oh
that
God,
not
right?
everybody's a piece
If
of
you're in
shit.
high school right now, the real world is nothing like high school.
It is
People
not.
are nice and want to help generally, and you'll want to too the moment you get out of an asinine situation.
Depending on who you surround yourself with, because if you when you become an adult, you don't have to surround yourself with pieces
You're
of
right,
shit.
and that is a good point. It depends on who you surround yourself with, because you could surround yourself with the people who have had that psychological, disruption, and they live it every day. Yeah. And versus those people who, as much as you might not be able to click with them easily because you don't have all the same things in common, you weren't silver spoon and all that, like they are, you can still connect with them and surround yourself with those people who are in a good psychological place.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's the only reason. Like that, and my sister is the only reason I think I'm not completely batshit insane. Like my sister took me in when I was 10. Like I'm pretty sure if I would have stayed until adulthood at my mom's house, I'd probably be in prison already. So
yeah,
like I'd be either in prison or dead.
Which, interestingly, in the movie Maniac, you don't get to see what led up to. I mean, because how old do you think he was? Like late 30s, early 40s?
I would say late. Well, I don't know. That hair was definitely dyed.
Yeah. I mean, we'll say early 40s to be nice.
Yeah.
How's that?
Like,
okay.
At worst, mid-50s.
So that dude made it a really long time before going crazy.
Yeah.
If you look at actually people who go crazy, it's usually in their younger years, like in their 30s or something, or 20s or something. That's usually where they start to realize they're on the decline, like, for being the best of their human self or something, whatever it is physically. And then they kind of say, all right, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. This guy was in his 40s. Yeah. And so he went a long time with a really fucked up, Yeah.
I mean, we don't know the full time frame on it. I think because it doesn't tell you when his mom died.
No, it doesn't.
It just says she died from a car wreck, but...
No, he said it was when he was 10.
When he was 10, okay.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, like, I'm just curious, like, if he killed her when he was 10.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, I can you believe what he said when he was on the date where he was like, "Oh yeah, she died in a car wreck when I was 10."
No, it's like the Joker in Dark Knight. The story could change every time, and he could believe it every time.
Exactly, and that's also the Joker in the newest Joker film.
Sure,
because like you don't know exactly what he's like. The whole story is something that's from him talking to the therapist at the end. Like everything that the movie was that, or at least that's what it's supposed to be. So you don't know what of it was real and what of it wasn't. Like what of it was psychosis. And
when dealing with mentally disabled, you're probably going to get that.
You don't know what's real, and you don't like. That's a scary fucking thing for me. Like, I have a fear because I am diagnosed with that. Like, I have a fear like I'm just gonna wake up tomorrow and be in a completely different situation. Like, oh shit, is this like reality, or is this like is this what I've actually been in, or is this like some kind of a dream that I'm in?
Yeah.
Like that's a terrifying thought to me, and I think about that probably twice a day.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, like I think everybody has a little taste of that. Not that they would think about that constantly, because I mean I don't wake up and think, what situation I'm going to be in. I usually wake up and say, what mood am I going to be in? How am I actually going to see the world when I wake up? Yeah. And that's a little different. Sometimes even like the visual disturbance of opening my eyes will change my paradigm. Like where if I have my eyes closed, I have this peaceful morning still and I haven't woken up yet and I'm tossing and turning and the whole day is to be unexpected. I open my eyes, I see the same thing I've seen for the last 6 months, and my reality starts to kind of settle into whatever blasé flat thinking I might be stuck in unless I'm in some kind of inspirational mood and I have something to look forward to for the day.
Which has been hard recently.
Yeah, because we are all stuck inside thanks to COVID-19.
Yeah.
Plug. But
the cough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it, the cough.
The cough. There we go.
Yeah. The cough.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that we all have a little bit of that, or some kind of different shade of that.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's just interesting because you can really connect with understanding how messed up the psyche is in something like The Maniac, where you if it was the first one to really show that side of things, the mentally ill person's side, that it can kind of help explain, I don't know, some of the crazy in the world. You're seeing it in an extreme case.
Yeah, extremely extreme. Because I mean, there's there's tons and tons of people that have that same diagnosis, and they may shake a lot. They may talk to somebody that's not there. They may just randomly make noises. But other than that, they lead perfectly normal lives. So, I mean,
because they can ground themselves. If you can get, it's like finding that thing that grips you on reality. You hang on to it, and then they're back to being normal. But yeah, they're gonna go home and suffer because they're not gonna have that thing that grounds them.
Yeah, and that's those people have a horrible time in relationships. It is like,
well, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
again, I'm on that side of it, so I don't know what it's like being on the other side of someone dealing with it. But that, so did I tell you I finally talked to my ex?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the one that left me when I got cancer. Yeah, like after a decade, she hits me up. She's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, you left and you never told me why. I haven't talked to you in 10 years." She's like, "I just couldn't take your bad days anymore."
Couldn't take what?
She couldn't take my bad days anymore.
Oh, the bad days. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you could have said that. Like, but shit happens. So.
Yeah. Well, we all learn, and honestly, it's kind of strange, right? We all need a little bit of help, but we all really compartmentalize things that people don't like those bad days, right?
Yeah.
So, my wife and I would say we both have our own little sets of anger for different things.
Hot dog buns.
Is that what she got angry about last time you were around?
No, I think, John was the angry one.
Tiffany, if you're watching this, okay, good.
She was completely calm.
Oh, okay, cool. I was going to say, I don't remember that.
Do you still have that video?
Which one?
I think you were half drunk by the time we got there. Like, they were arguing about hot dog buns, like, because John is completely against hot dog buns, and Epiphany was just like, well, if people want to eat them, they can eat them. And John went on, like, a 40-minute tirade.
About how bread was better? Is that right? Yes, I do remember that.
Do you have that video still?
I have no idea. I'm sure I do. I archive everything into my
if you
hard
have
drive.
it, I want to put it at the end of this.
Deal. But yeah, like we both have our things that if she's having a bad day, it sucks. It sucks for me, right? But I'm the significant other, and we're not all perfect. We don't have the, we're not all just bubbly and happy unless you actually have a disorder that makes you bubbly and happy. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody like that, but it's weird. Like they'll smile while they're working out really hard and junk, like because they're like they'll just laugh for no reason. And what a wonderful disorder to have, right? Like
maybe, I mean.
But maybe it is torture for them. Maybe it's not cool.
Yeah,
maybe they wish they didn't smile and laugh.
Maybe they
so
have
much.
a certain self-awareness about it, and they're like, they hate it when they laugh. They're like...
But it makes them really friendly and outgoing. If you've ever met somebody like that, they really can't help but just kind of be a beacon of, joy because they look like it. So anyway, you can't be that all the time. So we all have our bad days. Those are the people who need the most help. So whenever you see those moments and but sadly, as a significant other, when you see it, you want them to compartmentalize it because you might have had a really wonderful day 3 days in a row and they've had 3 bad days in a row, and all you want is to come home and actually be happy about your day or whatever it is. And Epiphany and I have had that on both sides, both her and I. Sadly, you eventually realize because you think people don't want to hear the deep stuff, you put it way back, because it didn't play out socially very well. And I don't know, there's an interesting give and take, a balance that somewhere, you do need to reach out to those people. But it's hard to.
Yeah.
It is hard to. It is hard to talk to a bitter person and give them your best because you're like, fuck you. When you don't want to naturally be like that, but you can't help it. It's wrecking everything that's, happening. Like, just, what's the right word? Spiritually or something, something about it.
Like
The atmosphere. It's just like, it just starts to just get heavy and sucks. And you're just like, damn, wish it could just be happy and free and whatever. And I don't know if you've ever talked to people, I'm sure you have because you moved from Memphis, talked to people from different areas and you almost can't connect with them sometimes because they don't know trauma.
Yeah.
You ever felt that?
Oh my God. Like, dude, I grew up in the hood.
Right. So the hood feels normal to you. It's not scary to me. It's not scary to me to go to East St. Louis. It's not scary to me to go to like Memphis or where's the last place we went? Like, where did I say? Kentucky or something. Anyway, not Kentucky, but Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. Like, I was there and I was in a really rough part. That it was an ate up place, but it wasn't scary to me because I saw it growing up. It was almost more normal than the fucking Truman Show of moving to Nashville. Like whenever we did from St. Louis.
Nashville is nice.
Well, yeah.
Socially.
Yeah,
like,
in Franklin
nice
and stuff.
Here. Like everyone's just for the most part. I mean, I met a couple of assholes, but they are few and far between here.
Yeah. And I mean, I was the antisocial one when I showed up, and I thought I was so outgoing in Illinois and like in Missouri, and you come here, somebody wants to talk to you in the vegetable aisle about freaking cucumbers and broccoli and stuff for 5 minutes, and you're like, are we really doing this? Like, do I know you? Or like, everything about it is kind of weird. But those people just aren't broken. They don't have the trauma that I had, so it's really hard to connect. And
man, I've had that in every type of neighborhood in this area, right? So right now I live in one of the not so nice areas of Nashville. I've lived in some of the richer neighborhoods for a little bit, as well as a lot of the more poor neighborhoods that are more crime ridden. And it doesn't matter what area I've lived in, people have all just kind of had that openness here, which I think is cool, and I think that's the reason why Nashville has always been able to bounce back from its tragedies, especially this year with all the crap we've had going on with the tornado. A month later, we get the pandemic. Another month later, we have the biggest blackout in Nashville history.
Yeah, super solid.
Like, dude, I lost like $80 in groceries from that. It sucked. Thankfully, people on the internet and good friends of mine came together and sent me some money. For groceries.
Well, I mean that was.
But it's
been a crazy year, and for everybody to really be in such high spirits in the midst of it, like
it's insane to me, kind of like Memphis is the kind of place you go to if you're just gonna hang it up and not have any kind of real career. If you just want to have a job until you die,
and just have a little bit of fun for a while, and
like not even have fun, like. At this point, the stuff that I would go to Memphis to do is
somebody's going there to aspire to great things.
Not a lot.
You never know. There could be the person just going there to try and change things. You don't know. But maybe the Gen Pop is,
Yeah, general population there, not no. General pop, I love Memphis to death. That's always going to be home. I was in 4 school shootings as a kid.
That's
right?
Crazy, dude.
So much, and not even that. So, on the way home, it got to the point that I became so desensitized by it that on the way home, there was a gang shooting outside of, right in the BP that was on my way home. And when I got home, I wasn't like, oh man, I was just in the middle of a shooting. It was like, man, I'm gonna turn on the news and see if this kid I hate that's been bullying me died. I became so desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And
when life's like that,
the concern. So,
yeah.
And I kind of feel shitty about that now, but at the same time, it's like...
How would you know how to deal with it? You dealt with it the best way you could when you were a kid. You thought about what kids would think about, Then, if this is normal, let me see how it played out well.
Yeah, let me see if something good came out of this.
Yeah.
So fast forward 12 years, not even 12 years, 10, 12 years, maybe 5 years, because it was between ages of 8 and 13 that all the different ones happened. So I'm working at a mall just between tours, and I'm sitting outside with my manager at the time. She's smoking, and then a dude comes up and he points a gun out his window and starts firing at somebody. And my manager takes off, and she's like, "Are you not running?" I'm like, "Going after them." That was my response. I was like, I ain't got to be in the store for another 40 minutes. I mean, why am I getting up? That's how desensitized I became. I mean, I don't think I'm that way now. I think I've grown to a point where I have more sympathy. But growing up in a place like that definitely did not do anyone.
I was going to say
favors.
you got a different culture now, and you have a different surrounding. Like a support group almost. Like if you didn't. Then why? And here you don't have to deal with that. It was odd to not hear sirens all the time. It was odd to not. It was odd to make eye contact with people. It was odd to even drive in a vehicle, and cut somebody off and have them not flip me off. I thought that was the nicest thing ever. I'm like, that guy's a saint. I was like, I shouldn't have cut him off, but I'm probably going to do it another 7 times before I learn. And that's the way it goes.
I mean, it's Tennessee driving in. Tennessee sucks anyways.
Driving everywhere sucks. I'm going to say it because we all want to say that our traffic is the worst. It's not the worst. It's never the worst. You think your traffic is the worst. Go to L.A. Yeah. I've driven in L.A. I almost killed a cop, believe it or not. Not intentionally, but where you got 7 lanes and there's cops flying in between, down the striped lines and stuff, while everybody else is going 60 miles an hour because motorcycles can just ride straight up the dotted lines in between cars and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, like no matter where you go, when you get into a better situation, it feels odd. Yeah. So, I mean, given that gentleman, where did it take place? Did it say?
Which one?
Maniac.
Oh, Maniac? New York.
New York.
Yeah, New
so
York
it was
City.
New York. Yeah, very dense. Yeah. There were hookers. He was in this rundown little, apartment. Everything in his social circle pretty much stated that he was in a chaotic place that had a lot of ambiguity or something, like where it was just generally bad.
New York was, like, people make jokes about it all the time. Pre 9/11 New York was just like free for all, just chaos, basically.
Yeah. You see a lot of 80s movies where, people are cruising through and
fucking Taxi Driver and shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, everything in his environment kind of probably cultivated and kept him normal in the midst of it because he was around all that stuff. I think it was a great depiction of mental illness in an extreme case.
Yeah.
Giving a perspective of how things
case.
Can really,
So,
there was nothing to be done at that point in his 40s to really fix him, but they still stated something real.
Yeah. I agree.
You don't just.
I mean, even as someone like, people fight against the people with mental illness or violent thing, and I fight against that too. But at the same time, like, it's not exclusive. Like, just because you have mental illness doesn't mean you're not going to be violent, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have a propensity towards violence. It just means that if you do get violent, you're probably going to be a lot more creative. So, and like, I don't think mental illness has a higher ratio of violence than people that aren't considered mentally ill.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think if you look at,
I don't have numbers. I haven't researched that, but it's just
what dictates mental illness? Because there was the rich dudes in Russia. Was it Russia that went around and videotaped a killing just because they had so much power? They knew the cops wouldn't come after them. They went around, videotaped a murder of a woman. It was kind of like murder by numbers. They just grabbed a random woman, tied her up, took her back, murdered her, and videotaped the whole thing, and then posted it online and didn't have any ramifications because they were so powerful that they actually videotaped a murder, posted it, and had no ramifications at all.
Wouldn't it be amazing to have that much money?
I don't know if it makes you do things like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I don't. But like if I had that kind of money, I would end up just building a commune. Everyone I know would live there.
Same here, yeah. But interestingly enough, that you'd be being a dictator at that point because you'd it would be yours, and you get to choose who. And hey, play by these rules. Like, he's smoking pot in my house. It's like it's okay. I allow it.
I've thought about this. It's like everyone would get a house. And it's like, look, if
everybody's thought about it. Everybody wants to buy a neighborhood and move everybody they like in there. Yeah, it's just the neighborhood of the most fun ever, where you don't have to go anywhere to have a blast.
I don't give a fuck as long as nobody messes with each other.
Right.
Like if you want to,
which it will happen,
whatever,
because people are people. I've had some really great friends hanging out with really great friends, get drunk, and then all of a sudden they're starting shit, and I'm like, the fuck? Because they're cool with me, but that doesn't mean they're cool with everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's never going to work out perfect. But yes, everybody's had that fantasy.
Yeah.
Everybody's thought about
I have that fantasy quite a bit.
It would be great.
I would love to win the lottery and do that, and
with I think
have that kind of money.
250 people, something like that. If you have 150 or 250 people, you can actually start your own town. You guys would start your own little community. Given it would probably start a little bit cultish. You just kind of can't help that. Everybody would be like-minded to uproot and go to one place, set up shop, and call it their town, their city. But it is legally possible for, I think it's 150, 250 people can establish a town. I should look it up. Because it's interesting.
How many people does it take to establish a town?
Yeah, a new town or whatever. But yeah, so like, what dictates mental illness though? Because those guys premeditated, just went out, killed somebody, videotaped it, posted it, and lived out the rest of their lives. At least to the best of my knowledge. That was 10, 15 years ago that this happened with the Russians. So they went and lived out the rest of their normal lives, not committing murder and posting it and all that junk. But these men were not, I don't know, schizophrenic. They weren't labeled with any kind of illness. They were rich. They were, and I don't know if that's silver spoon rich or if that's like worked my way up and have a little bit of credit rich. I don't know. But they had enough money, power, and influence that they can go murder somebody, go back to their regular lives, just like a rush, like a thrill, like skydiving. And are they mentally ill? I mean, I would assume so, but that might have just been where they, where they placed credit in life is not to human life. It's to other things. Right? No, honestly. So what we're talking about,
that's how I've judged wealth historically. Like when I was working at Asurion, my first year there, Sue Noakes, she'll probably kill me now that I've said her name on a podcast.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's all right. You can edit it.
This woman
Nothing gets edited.
Super loaded, right? Like, the woman wore diamond-encrusted shoes. She's got a couple of Rolls Royce, like, loaded. And she worked in the same building as I did, like, in the company. And so, like, we both happened to go into the elevator going up to the office one day. And she's like, "Hey, Pat, how you doing?" I'm like, "Why do you know my name?" Like, I've either done something really wrong or really bad, and knowing me, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Like, this woman has enough money to kill me and get away with it. And that's the first thing that popped in my head. I've done something really bad, and this woman has enough money to kill me and get away with it.
Sure. I mean, like...
That's been my judgment for how I can fuck with people for the past, 15 years is, do they have enough money to kill me and get away with it?
But, you're speaking of something real and obviously a satirical manner, but Epstein.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, they're right in front of the entire United States.
Yeah.
Nobody can say Epstein killed himself.
Yeah,
Nobody. Nobody.
There was a fucking camera in his cell.
You're right. And he was on suicide watch for 24 hours. That's all it took,
yeah.
Whatever it was. There's just no freaking possible way. So you look at things like that. Yeah, with enough money, you can do whatever you want. With enough influence and money. Have you seen The Family or anything like that? Any of those documentaries talking about people who basically... The Family isn't going that extreme, but The Family is about Christianity, where there was in...
Are you talking about that little boys' college, whatever?
Yes.
I started watching it. I haven't finished it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too outlandish. It's not like it was ultra culty, but it was enough of its own little society. They kind of made their own rules, and politically, because they were all, very high up politically. So it was like they could justify all kinds of really messed up stuff. With enough money, you can influence. I mean, think of somebody who's struggling and you can throw them so much money to change their life forever to do something fucked up. Keep it discreet. Even a specialist, if you have that much money. Yeah. Easily get away with that stuff.
Yeah. I've no.
I don't assume people would. I think that's assuming the worst. I think that's assuming like that one person is like the 0.2% of extremely rich folk. But that is interesting that you judge people on if do you have enough money to kill me and get away with it? No. Okay, not really scared of you.
Yeah, like.
But you're also judging people by the size of their balls in that case. Like, what about the guy who has nothing to lose?
Yeah, that's
true. You might not want to fuck with that
guy.
Yeah. Like, he could get his best rocks off on killing you. You don't know.
I used that excuse when I had cancer, right? Like, because
what's that?
At the very beginning of it, I wasn't gonna get treatment, so I just didn't give a fuck about anything, and I was going like. I used to live in a really small town, like not even Columbia small, way smaller than that. And we had like a dollar store, a Hardee's, and a McDonald's, and then like a Sonic. And the McDonald's was smaller than an average McDonald's. And the line was all the way to the back of the dining room to order breakfast. I walked in and I had to go to the other side of the building to go to the bathroom. And so I stepped in front of this woman to go through the line, not cut in front of her, and she just started going the fuck off, like total Karen type woman.
Yeah.
And I sighed, and I remember it so amazingly because I went to school after this, and I just felt so amazing about it. And I was like, "Look, I got about 6 months to live. You can either shut the fuck up, or I can go out in my car and get my gun and blow your brains out." And she looked at her boyfriend like, "Are you gonna do something?" And he was like, "He's got 6 months to live, man."
Yeah.
Like,
that's an interesting position.
Like go to jail, maybe make bail. Trial's not even going to happen that time, and the time before 6 months is up. So
yeah.
Well,
let me. So I want to touch back on something because like deciding what really constitutes mental illness.
Yeah.
So like the Russian dudes, right, who went and did this and they get away with it because they can or whatever, and there's no justice for it. Now, if these people can go on living semi-normal lives, whatever that might mean, are those people mentally ill, or do they just have the balls of a fucking rhinoceros? Like, I mean, because what you're saying is
it's about as much as
they don't have value for human life, and that's pretty fucked up.
Like if I have a bad week, like,
but I'm not.
That's like them having a bad week, maybe.
No, I wouldn't even give it that. I would say, what if they didn't esteem human life highly, based on however they were brought up. Now, given they only did this once that I know of, like basically what we're saying for sane people is socially acceptable people.
Yeah.
Is that right? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That
does seem to be the thing.
That's the groundwork in which we say people are normal, is if they're socially acceptable. Nobody in their entirety is socially acceptable. Everybody's a little bit fucked up. We all have our stuff that we kind of keep secret and whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So like, interestingly, like there is no normal.
Yeah.
There is no normal, period.
Learned that from Angus.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
About the fat kid that gets picked on in school and he ends up like going to the prom and getting elected prom king.
I remember the previews for it when I was a kid.
Had Green Day on the soundtrack.
Yep.
Like had a really 90s like pre-pop punk.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Like 90s punk and
that
grunge.
Sounds nostalgic. I'll dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, there is no normal. Like so, I guess even when you look at those, obviously, if you're going out and killing people, that's not good for anybody or
Society's
anything.
come together at some point and said, "Hey, this is bad."
Yes, exactly. We as a people have kind of decided, collectively that some things are not good and some things are. But
so have you seen Nobody Saw a Thing? I think that's what it's called.
Mm-mm.
I think it's on AMC. It's about a town that basically got together and killed a guy. They killed one of their citizens that was basically just a bully in the town. He would walk around and just like you're going to do what the fuck I want you to do or I'm going to shoot you. And like the cops never arrested him and shit. And I'm like, at what?
Call his bluff. Yeah. at some point call his bluff?
He shot people.
Oh, well, I'd fuck him up too, right?
Like,
I mean, like,
right?
isn't that grounds enough to do something?
Like, yeah, you know, like, but apparently no one would like testify against him or something.
Too scared of him, yeah.
And I'm like, so then you just stay in police custody, and what is he going to do? Walk up and shoot you in front of the cops?
So hold on. So they collectively got together and killed him.
Yes.
What was to be lost? What was the issue? What was the problem? Because it sounds like it needed to happen. That just sounds like it would happen in an old town in like the freaking Western days and shit.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Would they not? Yeah, just
but it's like
string up and hang this killer.
So the town is no longer socially acceptable, right? So it's a weird which goes like there's no black and white in life. Life is nothing.
You're damn right.
Area. Because there's like we always make excuses for this or that, and so it's like, do we consider the town mentally ill for that?
No, I think that's serving justice because, and we're speaking of people not as individuals at this point. We're speaking of people as a whole, and that's what we're doing when we speak about society because we're not talking about individuals and given that's rough for some individuals because they're trying to conform to something that's very abnormal if it's a society that they don't understand or can't really fit to. But collectively, you know, what am I quoting Spock? Like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. You know, like we're talking about 150 people in a town versus one man who is obviously disrupting things. If you can't get him out of there, you know, get him out of there. Like it sounds like it would be well served.
I agree with that, but I also have again like I feel like I'm fairly cynical.
That doesn't sound cynical. So tell me the approach you're coming at then, because what you're going to say is from the other side. You're going to say it from the side of the man.
No,
yes?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I have a cynical point of view about a lot of stuff. Like I don't think that like these two cops down in Georgia that chased after the black guy and just killed him. Like
they were cops? No, it was a dad and his son.
One of them was a former cop.
Oh, okay.
Right, and then his dad was something or something. I don't know.
It was fucked up regardless.
I read the first 5 articles about it, and then I watched the video, and I was like, "Yeah, this is obviously fucked up."
Yeah, ultra fucked up.
I stopped.
Old boy going on his jog.
Yeah, right. And I'm just like, why are people not marching to these guys' hideout and just hanging them?
Here's the thing: if that video had never been posted, there would have been no justice. Period.
Yeah.
Because there was no coverage before that.
Yeah.
The dude just died. Yeah. Yeah. In their case, it was just like this, a man was killed.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's it. You know, it was a black man. So it was a black man with a very non-American name, non-Christian name.
Ahmed or something.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
That. Yeah.
So it was enough for them to just be like, a black man died. It's pretty fucked up. Just to leave it at that, and not. I mean, because it was obviously a rundown and straight.
Yeah.
Dude's wearing like freaking jogging clothes and stuff. You know, he's not.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's not like he's like running down the street carrying a TV.
Yeah, given I don't need justice when I die, but if I was jogging and I straight up just got pulled up on by some dudes who just wanted to murder me for my color or, whatever the case may be, which that had to have been the case.
Yeah, there can't be anything else.
Right.
So their excuse is he saw him on the news, wanted for another robbery. Right? And I'm like, so you were sitting in your house and you looked out the window at a guy on the street past your lawn and saw his face clear enough to say, "Oh,
right,
that's definitely the guy that was in that robbery." That is bullshit.
Even if he knew where old boy lived, waited for him to leave his house, ran him down and killed him, you're not the fucking judge, jury, and executioner. You are everyday person. You're like you deserve.
And not like the dude that said it was the old dude. Like he's in his 60s and 70s. Like his eyesight, like my eyesight, like I couldn't do that. Like, there's not a lot of space between my window and the parking lot. I'd, unless I knew someone, like, if I looked out and saw you, like, oh, yeah, that's Chris, right? Because I know you enough. Or BoomerPeat, sorry.
White T-shirt guy.
Yeah, the white T-shirt guy. But, if I see, some guy I've never seen before, I'm not going to be able to distinguish his face good enough from here to be like, oh, yeah, that's that guy that went and killed those people. Or that's that guy that did that robbery.
Right. No,
You know?
so it was obviously a prejudice thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there would have been no justice without that video existing. So, I mean, you got to think that's happening all the time everywhere.
It is. You know who released the video?
Who's that?
It
was one of them because they videoed it.
It was one of their friends.
Oh, okay.
He thought
Send
it
it to
would
him.
exonerate him.
Like, wow. Talk about a fucked up paradigm.
Yeah. I'm like, what part of this fucking video makes you think that's going to exonerate him?
Right.
Like,
it's
if
ridiculous.
someone jumps out of a truck and is like yelling at me and pulls a shotgun out on me, I'm grabbing the shotgun and trying to push it away. Like, period. So,
yeah. No, that's ridiculous, man.
Like,
but that's thank God their damn inbred idiots
Yeah.
did that. Because there would have been no justice otherwise.
Georgia's had a bad year.
Yeah.
So they just gave all of their teenagers, like all the people that are legal age to drive now, they just get their license. They're not doing testing.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Interesting is the word I'm going to use.
Yes. Right?
Wow. All right. Well, don't expect the death toll to go up next year.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's crazy.
So it's just during the shutdown stuff. I mean, I guess I'll go back to normal after that, but it's like
still, gosh,
that's insane. Like,
yeah, just make them wait
fucked right now. The South is pretty fucked.
Yeah, well, I mean, everywhere is kind of. I mean, the entire world.
Yeah.
Like, there's no getting away from it. Everybody's dealing with it. Some countries are dealing with it amazingly, by the way. Like
Germany is.
Germany's doing pretty well.
I think China is, but China's also under authoritarian rule versus a more democratic kind of lead.
I mean, the United States has been spreading it the most. But it's I don't think. I don't know. I think we're too damn headstrong to really give it the respect it deserves. But then there's countries who are, of course, poorer and can't really.
Yeah, they can't afford the stuff that we can afford. Granted, I guess you can only afford it here if you've got money.
Yeah.
Right? Like.
Isn't that amazing? The entire world is dealing with an epidemic, and then it's
the poor who suffer.
Yeah. Big Pharma's just making money.
Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah. So we've gotten way off track.
Subject.
Yeah, way. But we're tying these things in with mental illness, and I think that's something to be.
That's like the big thing with that movie.
It is.
So, like, it truly is. Like, I don't know if they meant for that to be it.
I'm sure they did.
Like,
and I think that's why he wrote, directed, and because he did the main actor.
Joe Spinell, I think that's his name. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, so he wrote it, directed it, and starred in it, and that that makes sense. I'm sure that's exactly what he was getting across, because chances are he had some form of chaos in him that he wanted to bring to light in a different light than what everybody would judge it as.
Yeah.
And I think most horror directors are doing that.
Yeah. I think that's a good spin on the way horror is going nowadays. A lot of horror is
psychological also.
Yeah, it's really touching on.
It's not some cinematic bullshit
necessarily. It's touching on ideas and our subconscious kind of ideas versus just showing us something fucked up on the screen.
Sure, you can separate from that too easily. Yeah, so if they make it something that's psychologically tied in.
Yeah, which I think is why slasher films became so popular, is because they were just outlandish and
I used to watch stuff and just laugh at them, like The Cube, The Cube 2, The Cube 3, The Cube 5.
Yeah, it's so outlandish and just unrealistic that it weirded me out that people were like offended to watch them. And it's like,
well, that's religious reasons.
Like,
it's religious.
Yeah, it's
reasons.
Weird, but it's obviously not real.
Right.
Right.
Like, so, my dad used to slow motion a lot of stuff and be like, "Look, it's not real, dude. Like, it's not real." Just to show it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
I didn't know Tom Savini did the effects. I don't know if you know anything about Tom Savini, but he's one of the top dudes in physical effects. And
oh, cool.
He's it was kind of cool to see him in that and like actually playing a character. He was the guy in the car that got his head blown off. So that's Tom Savini.
Yeah.
He's also...
I heard you say that, and I didn't know who he was. I even tried to look it up, but I wasn't...
Yeah. No, he's... what else is he in? Something that you've probably seen. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
The guy with the little gun that pops out his crotch.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
him. So.
Okay. Man, it's been a minute since I've seen it, but yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. He does a lot of the effects stuff. So that's he did the effects in this. I saw him in the credits for that. So
yeah.
I mean, this was obviously something that was done on a low budget, but
but still, if it was low budget for the 80s, that was legit.
Yeah, it was pretty legit.
Legit.
So Joe Spinell, he was the producer, writer, actor in this. Appeared in numerous films in the 1970s and 1980s. Notable roles included performances in The Godfather Part 2, yep. Rocky 2, Taxi Driver, Sorcerer, Cruising, and many more. He was a recurring actor in early Sylvester Stallone films. So he's, I don't recognize him, honestly, from a lot of stuff. But I mean, he's kind of got, like, I could see him being in The Godfather and Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
Because that's, like...
And in the Sylvester Stallone movies, because Stallone had a lot of edge. And that guy had a lot of personality, a lot of...
he did.
Spunk.
Like, and that only came through in that one, like very, very couple of scenes in this.
Yeah.
Like, that date scene was like a completely different person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there wasn't, like, that fog of bullshit going on with him. He was just focused and clear. And
on one thing, which he wasn't getting.
Yeah. He made sure of that. But, yeah, so it's like, going back to that, that's, like, I think that shows just looking at patterns of how people can act differently. And how that really, like, how you can see a physical change, because even the way that his face looked a little different. Like, he looked, like, clear and confident in that scene versus the other scenes. He looked paranoid to a certain extent.
Right.
Like, he had a paranoid kind of look on his face. And I think that that's something that you can take away from the film, is that just paying attention to someone's mannerisms is important. And just because if someone can act okay, you know, and they're not,
sure.
So
and
I think that's important.
I mean, okay, so I'm gonna get off subject in order to kind of relate to exactly what we saw. So, like, whenever you see somebody put on that mask and they're playing it well and they have that charisma, do we not all feel like that at some point, right? That we're all kind of just playing nice. Not that we generally don't want to be nice, just that we're playing nice because that's what society, will say is okay. Yeah. It almost wasn't like you could, and here's probably the thing where they said they didn't want to show it because it showed the mentally ill side almost from a defensive perspective. Yeah. Like, everybody has to put on a face in some way to get through something, their job or whatever it may be.
I don't think people want to admit that they have to do that either.
Right, because for the most part, it feels deceptive.
And
you don't want it to. It's just...
It takes that away, too, because it lets... If you admit to it, then you're completely taking away the whole purpose of that mask, which is being vulnerable.
Sure, yeah.
Which is creating the vulnerability for yourself, which no one wants to be vulnerable to anybody, because then they feel like that person can have some control over them.
Right. Well, like, interestingly enough, like there's utility in that. There's utility in having a mask. There, like, just a little bit. And, like, it sucks because I'm one of those people who I'd truly like to be open to every single person I meet, but it is not good to do that. Yeah. It's not good just to open everything up and just be like, here you go, like, stab me. I'm not going to do anything. Well, sure. We
I really do. I say
anybody
so
who
much
really
shit
wants
that
to connect. Sure. Yeah. And anybody who wants to connect with people, you kind of want to do that because it's like, okay, I'm going to be as real as possible so I know if you actually like me instead of the face I'm putting on. And yeah, like, what they showed was a man who could be calm and collected and then right back to mentally ill, and it was like, and they didn't like them showing that, I imagine, because it made it a little bit too real to every single person alive. And it was, it was like, oh, we don't want people to feel sympathy for these psychopaths. Yeah. When that's it's still an illness of sorts. Now, I don't know how they judge things whenever they say like the guilty plea and things like that. Like, oh, crazy, like no, I'm pleading insanity. Like if
apparently
people do that,
a really hard thing to actually have happen.
Right? Because you'd have to really
you have to
be
prove
insane
that at the time that you did that it was purely based on just some form of illness.
Right, and not crime of passion even, because that's still got its own thing. But absolute, like, pleading insanity. Like, and even then, if somebody pleads insanity and they've killed like 15 people, like,
they're
what do? You got to be like, I'm sorry, the psyche is too fucked to put back anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, even if they really are mentally ill.
Well, like, even with those, like...
Because that man was definitely mentally ill in Maniac. I mean, obviously, that was his drive for everything. It didn't make sense to him whenever the deaths were happening.
Yeah.
They were just...
And it showed that because he would cry after him.
Yeah.
He would be like, why, why do you keep doing this? And, like... Like, he didn't understand.
He'd revert to his childlike state and things like that. Yeah. And then, like, so how do you even... Like, how do you even call that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, when it comes down to it, it's like they just need to be nixed. Yeah. And it sucks. But and well, that's the thing. So you're taking it from another angle.
From society. So if it does get to that point in court case, they don't just like go to a mental facility for like a month and then they're good. Those people end up going for like a jail sentence at a mental facility.
Right.
And it's so.
But even then, is that a good life for them?
I mean,
and I'm going to be bleak here. I'm going to be bleak and honest. So if somebody is that screwed up, struggling that bad, is it really better that they just live dosed on pills with all their fucked up stuff? And is that a good life?
I mean, it is the harder stance to take because people like to be like, well, that's murder too, right? And I'm like, it is, but I mean, not all murder is bad.
Right. And I'm one of those thinkers that almost doesn't think anybody is too responsible for every one of their actions, because most of the time we're just trying to do the best with what we know. It's just some people have some really fucked up they have some messed up tools, and that's all they have is the fucked up tools they were given growing up. I just wouldn't even know how to judge it, other than the fact that if they don't fit well anywhere, it might be better for everyone, including them. If you just carry out the sentence as it would be for murdering people.
You would do it. I mean, I would feel like we would do it in a more humane way.
You don't want it to be fucked up the way they did it, but but
like,
you might need to be like, Kevorkian them, a nice peaceful out.
We're gonna go to the hospital, and you're gonna, hey, look, we have this dinner in this room for you.
Go to sleep, and then now it's time to take a nap. Yep.
Yeah. We'll see you when you wake up, buddy.
Yeah, and I mean that's a nice way to go about it. It's the Kevorkian kind of method, where you just like he just euthanized people, where it was just a nice peaceful drift.
Well, he didn't euthanize people. People euthanized people, and he just provided the tools.
Yeah.
So I actually really love Kevorkian. Have you ever watched You Don't Know Jack?
Yes.
Al Pacino plays Jack Kevorkian.
No.
It is a wonderful film. Like Al Pacino is fantastic in that film. I mean, Al Pacino is Al Pacino. He's fantastic in damn near everything he does. But that film, because I was already, before the film came out, I was already just someone who really enjoyed Jack Kevorkian and his work and just people's rights to choose if they're in a state where they're going
to suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's someone's choice to not suffer. And I fully believe in that. So it's
I do too. And death is a hard thing to face.
Yeah, it is. If you got even going off the mental illness thing, people always people that are suicidal, people talk about people that are suicidal and they say, "Oh, if they were really suicidal, it's pretty easy." I'm like, "No, it's not. I've been there, man."
Yeah. Same.
It's not at all.
Same. Yeah, and it is, because this is the only thing you know.
Yeah. You don't know what's at the end of it. It could be everything. It could be nothing.
Right, exactly. And whether you knew whether it was one or the other,
yeah,
it's still hard because this is the only thing you know.
Yeah.
this is the only thing you'd base that decision off of.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, it's a really hard thing to do.
You're looking down the barrel of forever and like, yeah, it's easier. Like, you're making that determination, but you've got 1,000,000,001 thoughts going through your head at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, exactly, because that's... Your paradigm's fighting. It's like, hey, you know, like let's keep going. We've already gone this far. Let's keep going. So yeah, and that's but that's one of those things. Like I said, you know, I just didn't mean to get on Kevorkian, but the fact that you know, when cases have gone that far, you know, in this in the mentally ill, you know, department, it's just like how can you justify them having a good life, even, you know? I don't know. It's just some messed up stuff. Yeah, we shouldn't electric chair them or anything like that. I'm not saying that. If somebody's seriously messed up mentally, just give them a soft way out.
They've had problems already to bring them there.
Yeah.
Obviously. I don't think... I fully believe that most... I'm not going to say all, because there's always outliers. There's always just chemical imbalances that cause a lot of stuff.
Sure. Yes, definitely.
But...
Definitely.
I'd say even with chemical imbalances... a lot of that stuff can be found out and treated early on, and treated to a point where it's not going to affect them to that point.
If we actually gave free mental health care, which would be great, because like everybody could use it to some extent.
Yeah.
Like,
I think even if you don't know that you have something wrong, like, which most people don't.
Right.
Like, most people go their whole lives without being diagnosed, for one thing. I recently got diagnosed with autism, right? Like actually diagnosed. For a long time, it was just like a thought, like, well, maybe I'm autistic because this doctor told me I might be on the autism spectrum. And so it was a thought, and I started going to the doctor, and then I was like, I don't think I care if I know. And then so I stopped going, and then I was like, no, I kind of want to know. And so I started going again, and they were like, yeah, you should have been diagnosed long time ago. I'm like, okay. Like, it doesn't change anything about how I live my life at this point, because really what they do, if you're a kid, they just try and teach you how to integrate into society better. And I've already done that.
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing for them to teach me.
Yeah, but if we had that free, I mean, who wouldn't use it even on a bad day?
Yeah.
You know, just to get a little bit of help.
Oh, I love insurance. Like, it's an amazing thing to have. When I worked at Assureon, my insurance was fantastic, and I went to the doctor about every couple of weeks. So,
yeah, no, it's amazing that we don't have free healthcare in such a like rich society, but we're rich because big pharma and all those things, you know, like
they screw us.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
They're rich because of the poor.
Yep. And thus the cycle continues of the poor doing the things poor people do to survive.
It's been the same way for millennia.
Sure, and it's gotten a ton better. I mean, like honestly, like you know, free countries, starvation, like all that stuff, like with things just leaps and bounds, like wonderful advances. So it's not like
be better.
Right, but it's not like we're totally, you know, fucked like around here in the United States. You
like
can't go anywhere
like
where you're starving.
You're getting leprosy and shit.
Right, exactly.
Like, we're beyond that at this point.
Yeah,
as a species.
So depending on where you're at, you know, you can bitch about your current social and societal status, but you know, you've got it good if you're here. So no complaints there. I'm just saying that we could be doing better, and I think I'm one of those people who always thinks we could be doing better. But
I agree. I try to always look at what are we not doing that we could be doing that's easy, like respectively easy. Like, everything's got a certain level of difficulty to it, but it's all like, I think like hunting down people and forcing them to do injections is definitely tougher than just saying, hey, look, man, the vaccine's here. If you want it, come get it. You know? So I think that's the two different ways that it really goes about it in the world. So, just the come get it thing, sometimes it's behind a paywall, like it is for us. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all in all, like that was definitely interesting, and I'm sure it changed a lot of people's paradigms 30 years ago.
I hope it did. I mean, it is a very gory film.
Yeah.
Still, so it's like I'm not sure. The mindset now is different. People read into things more differently than they did, more than 30 years ago, 40 years ago now, isn't it? Yeah, 40 years ago.
Yeah. Well, is it
80?
Oh yeah, you're right. 40.
God, I feel old.
Yeah, right. Oh damn.
Yeah.
I was born in the 80s.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's I think we look into things more nowadays than they did back then, but I also think that's why we're growing as a society.
Absolutely.
So I think being able to identify these things is important, and I think that that's definitely a positive thing. And I think that if people looked into this film more back then, I wasn't there, so I don't know if they did or not.
They had to have enough to make a judgment call on whether or not they're going to show it in their theater.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
At least they changed those
Somebody
people.
did, because they wouldn't have banned it in
Right.
those places that it did, get refused to be shown. So yeah,
Somebody influential saw it, but yeah, that's hopefully it had its good effect. But yeah, it was of course a horror, but it was a completely different angle.
Yeah, definitely, especially for that time period. Like,
yes, that's what I mean.
in this time period, we're used to people doing something that's vastly different than what's been done before, because everyone's trying to do that.
You hope
with movies now. Yeah, we hope. I think movies production studios are looking more for that now, because they've realized that just rehashing the same thing doesn't necessarily make as much money.
Exactly. So watching that, did it not remind you of just classic horror films? In a sense, not the psychological part. Psychological part on point, but like the drawn out scenes where they're running and things like that, and
the bathroom scene. Where it's building up that fake sense of suspense.
Right. And so and maybe that was one of the first of its kind that was kind of like that, and it still had its impact, but they were still doing stuff like that into 2010, 2015 even, whereas the exact same kind of feel every time there was a chase scene or somebody sneaking up on somebody, so somebody rehashed the works of that. So it's a good thing that we actually have all that stuff. I'm sorry, I probably cut you off right through mid-thought.
You're good.
But yes.
So yeah, you got to watch the remake. The next movie we're gonna do is 120 Days of 120, 128.
You don't want to watch a Serbian film?
You want to?
No. No, I don't.
I think it's it's 120. Okay, 120 Days of Sodom.
Sodom. Okay.
Yes, it is. It's a pretty bad one. So I've seen parts of it. I've never watched it all the way through. It's one that I need to watch all the way through. So that's the next one on the list.
Okay.
So a Serbian film was, but then your wife said no.
Yeah. Probably for good reason.
Yeah, it is. It's horrible. It's pretty horrible. I mean, there's so...
At least this one we could find some redeeming aspects to it, but I don't know about a Serbian.
Yeah, so I think the best way I could describe 120 Days of Sodom to you is going to be similar to the rich Russian guys, just an exaggerated form of that. So,
like American Psycho, but with more team members.
No, it's like American Psycho. I see more as an art film. Like, it's got its gore parts and it's got its kind of trying to be suspenseful parts. But I've always looked at it as more of an art film than anything else.
I agree. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's but 120 Days of Sodom. That's the next one.
Give me a pitch. What are we looking at? Have you seen it?
Yeah, we're gonna see it.
No, have you?
Oh, 120 Days of Sodom. I've seen bits and pieces of it.
So what are we looking at? What kind of horror is it? This one was psychological, obviously.
It's a mixture. So it's a lot of torture in it.
Okay, so a little more sadistic.
Not like what's that? Not like hostile type torture, but not far off from it.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily gory torture as much
just
as it's
cringy kind of.
Yeah, cringy, like
It's like when you see a splinter in somebody's hand in a picture and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, honestly.
It's like, you ever seen a splinter under a fingernail? I mean, can you not just feel that?
Yeah. Like you can feel it, or like if I'm watching a movie and even something as simple as like a guy gets kicked in the balls and I just kind of feel this jar in my stomach.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah, bro.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Like I've had that done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
So it's, yeah.
But all in all,
too, because I've never seen it all the way through.
So do we rate this on in terms of? I mean, we kind of can't. It was in its own class.
Yeah,
it was iconoclast.
It really is kind of its own class. Like for a slasher film, it hits all the points of a slasher film, but also hits all the points of something that is a social commentary film, too. So it's, I mean, it does a good job of that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like like, what would the cops have done with the guy if he would have been alive? You know,
if he would have been alive.
Like, well, I mean, we don't know what.
But you know? Yeah, no, I mean,
like.
So
I mean, we would.
So let's speak in a hypothetical, since I know we're on our last few minutes. We have to be, but like, I want to speak in a hypothetical here. So if you were the cop walking in, and say old boy was alive, you're not going to try and take him alive, right? What would you do?
I think it depends, man. Like,
if you see like some dude in the psychological position of being like a kid in a corner, like maybe you'd go and arrest him.
If he just like comes on, like, yeah, let me put the handcuffs on. He's like, okay,
all right.
Like, I mean, cops aren't paid to go in and just be judge and jury.
You're right.
So that's, I mean, there's a.
But what if you walked in and saw 7 human scalps on, different things?
I think that goes into the movie 7, at the end of it. Have you seen 7?
Yeah.
So at the end of it where like he opens the box and he gets angry. Like he was technically in the wrong, but was he? Right?
Well, only because honestly, he was in the right. Here's the thing. The dude wants you to believe his paradigm and like his way of thinking, and he's saying, you're going to make me this. So if you do this, you're actually going to, you will have killed the victim because I'm here, like if we're talking about the movie 7, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I think Brad Pitt was absolutely in the right to do what he did. The thing is, you're talking about legal judgment versus justice versus
legal versus right, because legal doesn't necessarily what's right.
Legal definitely does not mean right.
Necessarily mean right. Yeah.
Right, because our definition of legal might not have been decided by all people.
Yeah.
But yes, no, I would say what he did was right, and I think if the other guy had won Brad Pitt's judgment, won him over to his way of thinking, he wouldn't have done what he did. Yeah. And I think that's what you're supposed to get. You're supposed to get thinking for yourself in that manner, because the other dude was just trying to show a different view and say it's better than the current view, but the current view was established by everybody. So I mean, it was good that he did what he did.
I agree.
I loved that.
I definitely, as far as slasher films go, it's definitely up there. I mean, it's a good one. The effects, especially for the time, the effects were pretty decent. There was one time where where he's getting his head ripped off.
Oh, sure, that was a little cheesy, and like he pulls it off, and all the extra gore and stuff. It's like actually it's just tendons and bone, and like blood would pour out, but it wouldn't just
it wouldn't just continuously be doing that.
But of course, that was also his fantasy, that was happening. It wasn't real.
I think that probably adds something to it.
Yeah.
So,
luckily, that justified the incontinuity of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely. It's a good one. I definitely recommend checking it out to anybody who hasn't seen it. So, especially if you've seen the remake, the 2012, 2013, whatever. If you've seen the Elijah Wood version, you should definitely check this out because it's a little different. Like does
it lay any groundwork at all for the 2012 one, or is it just kind of 2012 can be standalone good?
I mean, they're both standalone good.
Good call.
The Elijah Wood one is amazingly as good as this one was.
Okay.
So it still touches on all the same points. It's still a slasher film. It still touches on the mental illness points and goes further with the mental illness because the dude's kind of eccentric and he owns like a mannequin store. And so that's how the mannequins come into play.
That's interesting.
Because his mom ran the mannequin store.
Uh-huh.
And like, so he inherited it. And
yeah, that makes a little more sense of things.
So yeah, it goes a little bit deeper on the relationship side of it.
Probably adds in all the stuff they realized was missing after 40 years.
Like,
that helps kind of let everybody know what's going on while still keeping it suspenseful.
It's not as gruesome as the original. Like, it's not like it's still bloody to a certain degree, but it's nowhere near as gruesome as the original. It's a lot more realistic gruesome, like the way, like, I don't know if you've ever cut yourself in a way to where like a big cut, but you don't just automatically have blood pouring out like that.
Right, you see some white and then blood comes to the surface through the tissue.
So that's one thing I remember about about the Elijah Wood version is like he's cutting this chick and it's doing that. Like,
it's taking a moment to seep up and pool.
Yeah. So there was a lot of care given to the effects work on that one, and it's, as someone that just watches horror films sometimes just to be grossed out or whatever,
it probably did pretty well then because it was realistic.
It did. It looked fairly realistic. So it's definitely worth watching that. We've already discussed it and you've already got the main gist of what happens in the film. But it's he still, like, he meets a photography chick and that one goes on a date with her and everything. He's not nearly as charismatic, I don't believe. So it's
a little more reserved, like, so you kind of feel his his angst through all the situations. That's cool.
It's
is it still considered a slasher?
I think so. I think it's enough. Yeah. So I think one of the cool parts about the newer one is it's first person view, like video game style first person view from Elijah Wood's eyes. Like, the only time you see him is when he's looking in a mirror, like you see him in a reflection or something. Like, if he's looking up in the rear view, you like see like this much of his face.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
that's an interesting way to go about it.
It is
for a slasher.
It is. It's granted, this was too. So this
is,
that's just the evolution of this, right? So
exactly, yeah.
The next evolution of this would be a first person view of it. So
yeah. Cool.
So yeah.
All right, well, I look forward to the next one.
Definitely. All right. So final thoughts?
We've had a lot of final thoughts, yeah. Gone in a lot of directions. All in all, it was good. I imagine they could only go off of what they had during that time, and in order to make it cinematic, they made it what it was. And for them to go a psychological route and to show that, to have that as like the main point, because you find out it's not just about like the slash, like the whole idea is that you're seeing
Michael or Jason
this dude
just killing to kill.
Right. You don't see the point of any innocent person. You see the point of the killer. So I think it was really good for that. And I imagine if it was, if I was in my 20s back in the 80s and had seen it, I bet it would have been like, kind of mind blowing for what it was.
Yeah, like, oh shit, these are people too.
Yes, exactly. So that'd be my take on it. Like, I really like the way they took it in a psychological direction.
Definitely. I agree with it. That was my takeaway when I saw the remake the first time, and that was my takeaway watching it this time. Was pretty much the same thing. Like, as much as you don't want to feel like you've got something in common with someone like that, we all do. We've all got commonalities that it's just part of being human that we relate with, even with someone who does something so heinous as killing someone, slitting their throat, blowing their brains out with a shotgun, whatever. Like, we're all human. So, and it's enough trauma can lead to that.
Yeah, we're just lucky enough to not have that much trauma.
Yeah.
To be that messed up.
So, but yeah, that is it, everyone. If you haven't seen Maniac, the original 1980 film by Joe Spinell, born Joseph Spagnuolo, I guess that's how you say his last name.
That's why he changed it.
Maniac. if you've ever heard the song Maniac, then that song is actually about this movie. Go watch it. You can find it on a lot of places where you can pay for it, and you can also find it on a lot of places where you don't have to pay for it. So. Use a VPN. Have a good day, everybody.
Cool. Thanks, Snrrlax.
Thank you. BoomerPeat. I'm trying to remember the name.
BoomerPeat, white t-shirt guy, whatever you want.
BoomerPeat, the white t-shirt guy. Thank you.
Perfect.